Welcome to the first episode of In My Own Words for 2022. My name is Joseph Azevedo. One of my favorite things about writing is that I'm always able to be inspired by other books and other authors. So reading is huge for me. I'm always trying to find a new book to read, a new book to grasp, and constantly keeping up with what other authors are putting out. Last year, I was pretty successful. I tend to read anywhere between 15 to 25 books a year, and I was able to meet that. My very first episode, I talked about my favorite book from 2020. So I would like to keep that tradition going and talk about my favorite books for 2021. This time around, I'm going to be talking about my top 3 that were released in 2021. And on top of that, I'm going to be adding some books that I'm really looking forward to in this coming year. So let's just get right into it. The first book I want to talk about is Wormwood by Meyer and Chad Lutzke. I really enjoyed Wormwood for the simple fact that I have previous knowledge of Tim and Chad's writing. So knowing that they were collaborating on this, I knew I was going to go in towards a crazy story and it wasn't going to disappoint at all. What I liked about it specifically was the main character Baker, his sort of dissension as he became more familiar and more acquainted with Cassandra. And not only that, it kind of divided his relationship with his best friend Seb. And they were both fine up until meeting this girl and finding out that she has this dark past, and she's on a mission to kind of redeem that past with their help. It was a coming of age story that it seemed very practical. A lot of the time you read stories and they're so far-fetched or they're very in the realm of fiction, but this story was something that could actually happen to real kids, and I think I connected with that a little bit more. I'm a big fan of coming of age stories, and it's very powerful from beginning to end, which is why it was in my top 3 for last year. The second in my favorites for last year was Mouthful of Ashes by Briana Morgan. I like this book because Briana brought a new concept to the vampire genre, which is relatively familiar to most people. I'm a big fan of the discussion of the transformation or what's involved in the transformation. In the book, the main character Callie is talking to a vampire known as Mauve, and they're talking about the process of what is going to happen when one or more of the characters start to transform. And the title itself, Mouthful of Ashes, is part of that process. So it was fascinating to see that Briana brought this fresh take to vampires in her own world that she conceptualized. And the third book is called Where the Devil Waits by Wesley, Southard, and Steensland. What I liked about Where the Devil Waits was the character Stan. From the very beginning, you realize that Stan has animosity with some of the other characters. And when he introduces his plan and it gets someone else killed, everyone is thrown off and they're trying to understand what's going on and how Stan was able to do this horrible thing to someone. And as they try to uncover how all this works and what's going on and what may have happened, Stan is growing more powerful, and it was fun to see the lengths that Stan would go to get revenge or to do terrible things to other people. And I thought that it was one of the best antagonists that I've read in a very long time, and until the very end of the book you didn't know that Stan wasn't going to get everything he wanted. So having a villain that maniacal and that devoted was a true way of keeping me involved from start to finish. So now that we're in the new year, there's going to be a lot more books coming out and a lot more things that I'm definitely going to be interested in reading. But I wanted to talk about 2 specific books that I'm really looking forward to coming out this year. The first book is called Daphne by Josh Malerman. Now, I've read Josh Malerman before. I really liked his book, A House at the Bottom of a Lake, and he has a very interesting style of writing. Now Daphne is kind of like a modernized slasher story. She preys on high school girls, and the concept is not even think about her at all. I was sold as soon as I saw the cover. It is absolutely horrifying. So I'm going to leave a link to that. If you guys also want to check it out, I highly recommend it. The second book I'm looking forward to is Clown on the Cornfield 2, Frendo Lives by Adam Cesar. I read the first Clown on the Cornfield, and it was actually my favorite book of 2020. And as soon as I heard it was announced, I was immediately on board. I don't know too much about the story, but what I do know is that Adam Cesar delivered so much with the first book, and he perfectly captured the slasher genre in this. Knowing that Frendo and all these characters are coming back in this small farm town, I'm just immediately on board for whatever happens. Aside from the story, the first cover and the new cover were both designed by an artist that I love, Matt Ryan Tobin, and just like Daphne, the new cover for Clown on the Cornfield 2 is horrifying. Now, if you're not a fan of clowns, I do not recommend this book, but if you're okay with them, I highly recommend you check this book out. I'm going to leave a link to this book in my description as well. I talked about it a lot in the previous episode, but Death Cleanse is nearly here. The edits are getting finished, the book is getting designed. In a matter of weeks, maybe a month, it'll be all finalized. On the next episode, I'll have a big update about Death Cleanse, but for now, know that the release is coming very soon. AuthorCon is coming up soon. I'm getting my books ready, I'm getting my table ready, and my name's officially on the website, which I am so excited about. I'm going to leave a link in the description. Go check it out. I hope you can make it out, and if not, I'm going to be giving you tons of updates as we get closer. Once again, the music you're hearing is by Hello Meteor. I'm going to leave a link to his Spotify and Bandcamp in my description. Go check out his music. Go buy his merch. You will fall in love with everything that he makes. That's it for this episode. I'm going to have a ton of updates in the near future, so stay tuned, and I'll talk to you guys next time. Take care.